like to call the meeting to order. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I got the time here. Could you, whichever one of you does, call the roll, please?
I guess that's me. So Chairman Judd,
Here.
Commissioner Machado,
Here.
Meyer,
Here.
Fisher,
Here.
Houston,
Here.
I'm here, and we've noted that Douglas Jackson and Mr. Meeks are absent.
Do either one of them, did either one of them call or anything?
Mr. Jackson did.
Oh,
He is
okay.
traveling.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Could we have a verification of the posting of the agenda, please?
The agenda for the Airport Advisory Commission of the City of Hollister, regular meeting of August 27th, 2014, posted on the bulletin board at City Hall on August 12th at 2 a.m. 2 a.m. Oh, that was not.
2 a.m.?
Per Government Code, Section 54954.2. Sorry.
Okay, thank you. We have the minutes for the meeting May 21st were on a consent agenda, but there is one clarification I guess I'd like to make about, and I seem to have lost my copy of them.
Right.
You got it?
Yeah.
You're going to explain.
Well, the meeting minutes, it says June the 2nd, but the minutes were for June the 25th. June the 25th, is that correct? But anyway,
The top. Right at
that's
the top.
the correction.
Oh, okay, well, it sounds like there's two corrections. Where does it say this? Oh, right. On the consent, yeah, on the agenda, it's incorrect. Okay, but they're correct in the minutes.
Right.
But on the second page, number 3 there, about a third of the way down the page, I'm sorry, just above that, where it says per Fred, we had 5 show planes, and what we'd like to change that is 5 transient planes on Saturday and 2 on Sunday. So the show, the word show is incorrect. It should be transient. Transient,
Transient.
T-R-A-N-S-I-E-N-T. Okay. Okay, and I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes as amended. Somebody?
So move.
A second?
Second?
Seconded, moved and seconded to approve the minutes of the June 25th meeting as amended. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. This is the point at which if anybody has something they'd like to say that is on a topic that's not on the agenda, please speak up, and I guess we have a card that somebody
We do,
filled out.
Ruth
so-
Erickson.
Okay.
Good evening. You know it's Ruth Erickson, obviously. I just wanted to announce we're very proud that one of our early members of Hollister Airmen started in 1946, and one of our early members, Della Jack, on September 2nd, turns 100. So we wanted to wish her a happy birthday. Also, Hollister Airmen will be having a potluck on Sunday, September 21st. You've got my phone numbers. If not, I'm in the book. If you are interested in coming, let me know. Thank you.
Thank you, Ruth. Anybody else have anything they'd like to speak? Okay. We'll move to reports. The agenda that you have is kind of blank for reports, but we do have 4 reports that the airport director, I believe, is going to give us. The first one listed is AAC seat openings.
Just a reminder to the current commissioners and anybody who wants to be a future commissioner, this is a unique December coming up. 5 seats are open up there. So if you wish to continue to be a commissioner, you would need to reapply and compete for the seat. And if you aren't up there and you'd wish to be a commissioner, you need to apply to get a seat. Those members are Mr. Fisher, Mr. Machado, Mr. Jackson, Mr. Judd, and Mr. Meeks. Those 5 seats all expire December of 14. Jerry said she'd mail you the applications to make it easy for you. I don't know.
What was the question?
She told me that, but I don't remember. When do you have to apply by?
Oh, yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I don't know.
gee, if we're late, I guess we'll just,
Well, she'll mail them to you. As soon as she mails them to you, get them in. And if you're interested, the best thing to do would be to call her. I think it's actually online.
Yeah, she
Mr. Judd,
usually lets
may I
everybody
ask a
know.
Simple question.
yes, please do.
We have 7 members,
Yes, sir.
and you say 5 are up for,
Yes, sir.
why don't we have 3 and 4?
That's a very good question, and the reason is, Mr. Fisher was appointed by District 2, Councilman Scatini, and his term would be up had he not resigned, so he's up. District 3, you were appointed by Pauline, and her term is up. Mr. Meeks was appointed by the mayor, and his term is up. Mr. Jackson also is attached to Pauline Valdivia, and Dean was, Mr. Judd was appointed 3 years ago, in 2011, and his time is up.
So that I know there's an oddity in there because you got the mayor on a 2-year term.
Exactly.
It just seems in government you always have a balance for continuity, and here you got 5 out of 7 that are up.
Yeah, I was kind of in shock. I thought it was going to be 4, and 3 were remaining, but
Yeah.
because of the mayor, we lose the 5th. So instead of 3 and 4, we're going to wind up with 5 and 4. Or 5 and 3, sorry, each time. Because the mayor's seat's going to come up every single time we do this.
Okay, yeah,
Actually, next time you're gonna have 2 more seats the next time. You're gonna have 3 coming up.
Yeah,
You got 5 coming up now. Next time you're gonna have 3 coming up. There's only 7 of us, but it's, I understand it.
are you suggesting that maybe we should have a different way of,
No, I think the oddity
Doing-
is the 2-year term of the mayor, so,
well, that's definitely an oddity, but,
yeah, so you're gonna have, the next time, like I said, next time you're gonna have 4 people coming up. Because it could be a 2-year term, yeah.
I'm still
yeah,
trying
5
to,
and 4.
but I'm still
Yeah.
trying to figure out how, see, since myself and Doug Jackson are county members, and I'm trying to recall, we don't get appointed by a council person.
It says your terms expired December of 2014. If you want to recount, I suggest you take it up with the city clerk.
Okay. Oh, I'm, clearly, we have to be thrown off every now and then, so I'm not really complaining, but it just,
Plus, weren't you saying you have more fun in the audience anyway?
well, that's what I'm thinking. Maybe somebody'd like to take over for me, because get a lot more to,
Throw tomatoes and all that
and
good
it's,
stuff.
you can be more outspoken out there. Well, okay, thank you, sir, for letting us know, and so we'll, and again, as you said, anybody in the audience or watching on TV, if there's anybody that's watching, would like to serve on the commission, there are, I guess you should point out that was it five commissioners are appointed by the 5 council people, or 4 council and a mayor. And then the 2 of us who don't live in the city but do live in the county, we apply, and we actually apply, I believe, to the commission. And the commission itself, the 5 members of the commission who are city members, decide whether they want us or not. It's a little odd.
One more.
That is correct.
One more clarity. If you're a council member, you're being appointed for 4 years. If you're being appointed for the mayor, then your term's only 2 years?
I'm sorry. If you're being appointed by a council member.
It's 4 years.
I got the air conditioner right in this ear, so. And
If-
then
if
if
you're
it's the
appointed by the
mayor,
mayor,
it's
it's-
only 2 years. That is
Okay.
correct.
Okay.
And the 2 county seats are a 4-year term, and they're coming due.
Can you give us a graph next time?
Okay,
What might help things actually would be if the 2 county seats didn't expire at the same time.
okay, well, all right. We'll move on. The next report is titled Vehicle Gate.
Yes, we're having great difficulties with the vehicle gate on the east side of the airport. Turns out the main circuit board is fried. The company that, our historical vendor gave us a price of $2,700 to get it fixed at some point. We're in the process of seeing if maybe we can't streamline that, do it in-house for a little bit less and take care of that. So we're working on it. Bear with us. I believe it's open. So in the meantime, I've contacted the police department, asked them to do extra patrols out there.
Okay, thank you. Report 7C is titled Caltrans Inspection. I believe we have a letter, don't we?
We do have a letter. It's only 3 pages this time, and one of them was pictures. And instead of those good 32-page manuscripts we used to get. On August 12th, we had our annual Caltrans inspection. Our annual, he comes about every 2 years, because there's one guy for the whole state. But he called out 2 things that are relatively easy to fix. The PAPI on the 3-1 end, when they did the excavation and regrading, they left one concrete base a little too exposed, so we have to go dump some dirt on that. And then the other issue is one of Mr. Corbin's trees are penetrating our airspace. So Mr. Corbin will be receiving a letter asking him to trim it. But a little bit of gloating, that's a pretty good letter for our place. I don't know if you guys remember those other ones. So I think we're moving in the right direction.
Yeah, the tree's only 3 feet over the max limit. It's 38 feet, and has to be 35 feet.
How much it grew since the last inspection.
That'll go back in a heartbeat.
Okay, well, I think that we should probably, I'd like to thank
Good.
our airport director for that, because
Good
that's a
shape.
result of all the work Mike's done over the last several years to get this airport in a lot better shape. So I'd like to point that out, that the job he's doing is reflected here.
Right.
And hopefully you'll tell your boss that too, or maybe I'll tell your boss. But it's a pleasure to see one with so few little, with just a couple of nits, basically. That's very, very nice. Good job. Well done.
And I'm going to immediately deflect that and turn it back to you and my staff, because
Not
it's
me.
been a team since I got here
Well, maybe the
with
staff.
us.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that. And I have an excellent staff.
Well, you do. You put the right people in place. Okay, any other comments or questions on that? The report 7D is titled ACIP.
That'd be the Airport Capital Improvement Plan. We met with our consultant to go through this for future years, because when we started, I never thought we'd get, 5 years down the road and now we are. And it's like, oh. So we wanted to make sure things were prioritized right, et cetera. We are doing the reconstruction of the runway this year. We're doing the same thing next year. We're going to try to include a master plan update next year at the same time. The year after that, we're looking at a CAL FIRE taxiway and the environmental work for the master plan and the airport layout plan update. Our airport layout plan is getting long in the tooth again. It was signed in 2009, and it's supposed to be updated every, they say 2 years. It's more like 5 years because it takes them 2 years to get it approved, as you guys know. That's our plan for that year out. After that, we're looking at doing taxiway lighting on the unlit taxiways, kind of as our priorities. There are 2 items there in shaded boxes, the terminal/restaurant design and construction. That is not eligible for FAA funding, and that's why it's shaded. So if we're going to do that, we're going to have to find another funding source. So I left them in there programmed, but they're not eligible. In addition,
I'm sorry, could I ask, break in there? You say they're not eligible, but they've got money shown in the eligible column.
oh, I didn't remove that, I'm sorry.
Okay, in other words, that should be blank, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
Can I also backtrack? I have a question on the run the rehab design and engineering. That's $42,596. Have we already paid that? The matching
Yes.
funds? And then now
The
the matching
project's
funds
done.
for the next 2014, 2015, and there's $325,350, and then in 2015, we got $549 and change. Do we have matching funds to do all this?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
And then we'll be
Good.
just about out.
That's what I figured. Okay. Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt.
No problem. So in addition to the taxiway lighting, we're also looking at getting the run-up area for 2-4 constructed in 2017. The service security road, we may or may not need to do that. As part of the runway project, we have to grind up every bit of pavement that's out there on that runway. And the disposal site just happens to be a 12-foot wide strip that starts at CAL FIRE and works its way around the fence all the way to the AWAS. So, save a little money that way. So we'll see how that goes. If that's a serviceable road for Dave and his fuel trucks, and it gets our service people out to the AWAS in the weather, then I would recommend actually removing that item and not spending $1 million on payment for it.
Right.
Because probably in light of the runway bids, $1 million isn't going to get it done. If you don't have any other further questions on this one?
Is CAL FIRE anywhere in the future planning on moving over there?
They're so close in the future, they're item 8E on your agenda.
Oh, they are? Okay.
Yeah.
We'll get to that.
Oh, okay.
So is that it for the ACIP?
Well, there's some more things before them, but
Well, no, what I'm saying, did you want to, I mean, you go out to 2025, I guess
Yeah.
that's kind of
So,
not worth reviewing.
the ozone layer.
Yeah. Okay, anybody have any more questions, or?
I'm hoping my
Comments?
voice makes it through tonight. I lost my voice this weekend, and it just kind of came back today, so.
Well, we're happy for us anyway. Thank you. Okay. Next on the agenda is old business. Well, item A says new chairman, me, so I guess we already know that, so.
Yep, you're good.
I'm good. Okay, item 8B is air show updates.
Okay, I'm going to start with an apology. I actually wrote a pretty in-depth report for council and intended it to be in your packets, and somehow it got missed. I will email it to you when I get to work in the morning, because it's, unfortunately, I couldn't access it from my computer here. I was able to pull up the synopsis sheet, and I can continue to present the data to you and reconstruct it, but it's not the full report that council will be reviewing. This is going before council on Tuesday night. So, bottom line is, the air show showed a loss of $25,000 this year. We attribute 3 reasons for it. Number one, our security guards didn't perform at all. We believe there was anywhere from $7,000 to $12,000 worth of gate leakage on Saturday alone. And that's based on numbers. As a result of that and the conversation that I had with them after the air show, they didn't even bill us. So that was our huge issue. Our second issue, we paid a considerable amount for television advertising. That television advertising was concentrated in the Monterey, Watsonville, Salinas areas. Our attendance numbers did not reflect a large number of people attending the air show from those areas. Our biggest draw this year was the Bay Area. We'll get to this in the, well, so that's another area where there were some significant costs that could be lowered in the future. The third big expense that turned out to be kind of a loss was a shuttle bus. I had made an agreement with the county transit to give us a free shuttle bus if I advertised in their bus stops, because they are looking to show some advertising money in their thing. I thought it was a win-win. We actually, I think, got good advertising from the bus stops. I chose the one in front of the hospital and the one down on 4th Street. What I didn't realize when I paid the $500 for the bus stop was it was going to be an additional $2,500 for the signs that go in those bus stops, because they have to be a special material. It's actually a foam core, sheeted metal, everything, because those things get to 180 degrees inside that cabinet, and they put plastic ones in there and they all melted. So that was a big surprise. I was still hanging with, okay, we're still okay. We got great advertising, we got these great posters, and we got a great system because we're going to have buses from San Juan. We're going to have a route through the city. 6 people used it. So I can't justify that.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yes.
You can't just justify the free bus, I can see that, or whether you pay for it or whatever. But we don't exactly know whether the advertising did any good, though, do we? That you paid
No,
for?
well, sort of.
Okay.
We did have people asking about our advertising methods. Unfortunately, I think kind of the way it was set up wasn't to get going to solicit the best response, number one. Number two, I can tell you every time I go to Disneyland, I'm always annoyed when I get stopped on my way to the Matterhorn by somebody who wants to ask me a bunch of questions. So people were giving us flippant answers, but no one in any of the answers that were given cited the bus stops as the reason why they came.
Okay.
So, I mean, we have a little bit of data. Is it scientific? No. Is it reliable? Probably not. But I can give you the little bit of data we did collect. Okay, so actually, our paid attendance was actually up this year, and for those of you that were out at the show, with Dean and Jerry had probably the best view in the house of the crowd, our attendance was up both days. Saturday was slammed. Saturday was probably the best day we've ever had. Unfortunately, they were all enjoying it for free. So, so looking at the numbers on this synopsis sheet, and it actually, on the other side, I don't know if you realize it, it actually goes all the way back to 2010. We were up about 400 people in our paid attendance, which was good. Our vendors were pretty much flat. They were a wash, although to get the vendors I had, we had to severely discount our spots out there. So our revenue for the vendors was about half what it's been in the past. So we're saying there was about 300 people that we can account more at this year's air show than the air shows in the past. Our revenue was $38,000. Our expenses was $63,829. I hinted at 3 reasons why that was our loss is $25,000. One of the reasons why our expenses, there are 2 major reasons why our expenses were so high this year. Number one, Mr. Andrini's accident. We had to scramble to hire somebody, so we had to pay full ticket, and it was expensive. Number 2, our hotel that we've worked with in the past was unable to honor our relationship this year due to a softball tournament with a date change. And as a result, we had to change hotel vendors, and our hotel costs were 40% higher. And that was unexpected. So, long story short, $25,000 loss. In my report to council, I make recommendations. I explore the options. You all know what the options are. Option number 1, no more air shows. We just stop. It's probably the easiest thing to do. Is it the right thing to do? I personally don't think so, because we get so much goodwill and advertising from this event for this facility. It is worth us paying some money. I don't think it's worth paying $26,000 of the airport's budget, but I do believe it is worth the airport kicking in some money to this event if it loses every year a little bit for that goodwill that the airport gets. Another option would be to do it on alternate years. We'd die. No one would show up. No one would know which year to be there, which year to not. The air shows that have made that successful have jet teams, and that's the only reason why it's successful. They have a jet team. If a jet team shows up, you know you're going to have 250,000 people show up. It's the way it works. Unfortunately, with our neighbors, the jail, we can't ever have a jet team. So, sorry. So, because they're inside the safety areas, we'd actually have to shut down 156 and part of 25. So we can't do it. And evacuate the jail. So, not going to happen. So, with that said, after much soul searching, and I think Dean can attest to the fact that I thought long and hard about this, I actually am making the recommendation to you and the council that we do continue air shows. I've identified some areas where we can reduce costs, so we don't have costs this high again. But I'm also recommending that the city puts up $15,000 and the airport puts up $15,000 initially for the event. We'll cut the budget back to $50,000. The event makes $20,000 pretty regularly. So that way we're quote unquote in the black despite the initial contribution. The reason why I came up, I'm sorry. Don't want to lose my voice. The the reason how I came up with that $15,000 number is most nonprofits, their advertising budget is 10% of their budget. Our advertising budget is 0. So $15,000 is about 2% of our revenues. I think it's worth 2% of our revenues to advertise the facility in that manner. So that's my report. Once again, I apologize that you didn't have all the text. I will email it to all of you in the morning. I don't know how that got missed, and it's my fault.
Okay. Would you like the commission to discuss this and comment and come up with a either alternate recommendation or else agree with you?
I would like you to discuss it and tell me what you think should be done so I can report that to council on Tuesday, so that they have all the information. And you
Okay.
don't have to agree with me.
No, well, okay, but whatever. So, all right, so,
Well, Mr. Chairman, I have something to say.
okay.
Wouldn't the third option be to scale down the air show, reduce the cost of the all the performers, and maybe have still have the motorcycle events in between to keep things, rather than just continuous airplanes, have a break?
Lowering the budget down to 50,000, you are going to be scaling down the air show. It's
Right.
going to be about a 2 to 3 hour program,
Right.
rather than the 4 to 5 hour program we're providing.
I agree with that, yeah.
So,
would
but
yeah.
scaling it down even further from 50,000, you can't. Your money is in fuel, lodging, and performer fees. Aside from that, the air show really costs about $5,000. For porta potties, we already own our fences, we took care of that. That used to be a $3,000 expense. We own the sound system, that used to be a $5,000 expense. So really, our other costs are the porta potties, and it's not that much money for porta potties.
Well, isn't fuel cost a big hitter, especially when you have the Mustangs and stuff like that flying in? That's a
Yes.
big hitter.
It is.
And the lodging that goes along with it.
The lodging was huge this year.
Yeah. Anyway, that's my input.
Okay. Before we go further up here, I'd like to invite anybody we have an audience today. There's 5 people out there. I'd personally appreciate if anybody out there had an opinion. I'd welcome you to speak, if you do. Okay? You better go up there, because otherwise, it's being recorded, so you won't get recorded.
And you don't have to agree with me either.
Margaret Sanzeri. A couple of things I was thinking of that could work in benefit to the if you're scaling down the airplanes, you can increase the amount of motorcycles, cars, and other related exhibits and shows to go ahead. If you're going to go ahead and bring in more people on that wide range, you want to balance out the performance levels on all bases in that regard. So you're really engaging everybody. And the other point I forgot. But that was the main thing I was thinking of.
Actually, thank you for reminding me, that was also included in my report. By moving the air show to Father's Day weekend, our activities in the past where we invited the show cars out to the air show and they were as part of our event, would have directly competed with a long-running event directly across the street from us at the church. I made the decision not to do that this year, not to hamper in any way. So we did not have those cars. That did cost us attendance. A lot of people, we got a lot of feedback back that was a draw that people were missing. In my report to council, I recommended that despite the competition that we went ahead and had cars.
Is there any suggestion of doing it on a different date?
I explored that, and I decided that it would be best not to move it again. This date seemed to increase our attendance. It's a good date. We did have a large number of fathers there on Father's Day. I think that did help us, and the weather was decent.
I'm just concerned about the competition, well, with the cars, but also with Columbia.
Yeah, I think that definitely affected our fly-ins this year. You know, we had 5 and 2 or something, right? Yeah, but I think there was a large amount of people that did go up to Columbia that may have come to us in the past.
I have a question. Will we have the same problem with the Father's Day next year with respect to lodging?
No, because my intention is to lock up the rooms on Wednesday if the council tells me to do it again. I'm going to book the rooms a year out so we don't get stuck again.
Looks like Ruth would like to say something.
Working on something that Margaret said, I think one problem with having it Father's Day weekend is that we do lose people also. For instance, if we wanted the military vehicles, they have something else going on that day, that weekend. If we wanted the farm tractors and other antique engines, they probably have something that weekend also. The other thing is we've noticed that we get a lot more wind. When we used to have the airfairs in October, we had wonderful weather every time. So I don't know whether
But we moved to October, we're competing with Watsonville and Salinas.
now Watsonville, but it wasn't before, yeah.
And
But
there's
even maybe September, it's just that,
no way, there's no way we could compete with those 2 air shows.
well, theirs is going to be an air show and a car show this year,
Yes, it is.
which has changed a little bit. So they're going to do the car show as well. I was just thinking on a non-holiday, people are not going away.
Well, and people don't go away on Father's Day weekend. And we saw that. Half our attendance was local, half of our attendance was Bay Area.
Well, maybe we need to invite these other groups now for next year.
And we would do that. But I would be really, my recommendation is not to move the dates again.
What?
What was that?
No,
You want to speak? Would you like to say something?
please. 2 things. I think it was, I've never missed a show yet, and I think that this is the better, or the best show we ever had, performance-wise and the activity, all that. I understand the downfalls, and maybe they can be corrected, and maybe we have to cut back a little bit on but still, regardless, it was the best show I ever seen out there. The other thing is, the wife's been out there every year at the ticket gate, and I guess they do ask the question, why are you here, why you came? And there was quite a few, they said, that came because of him. It's what Dad wanted, and that's why we're here. Whatever Dad wants on Father's Day, we come. That's why the whole family was there. So I think the attendance was up because you had more family there than just the father and his brother or somebody coming together. You had the whole family coming. So I think it's an asset of Father's Day. Was a big asset, I have no idea, but that is a factor.
Does any of the commissioners have any comments they'd like to make at this point?
Well, I have, Mike included this AOPA request for proposal. Would there be a way we could work that in possibly, to bring in outside
You're moving ahead in the
aircraft more?
agenda again. That's 9B.
Yeah, I see that, but it's all part of an air show, so,
Yeah, that is part of the thought, but then when you look at kind of their needs, I'm not sure our facility is big enough to do an air show and their needs.
right.
My intention in including that would be to suggest perhaps a August, September event
Okay.
to try to compete for that. Which I was going to say in 9B.
Yeah, well, we'll get to 9B.
Yeah, I was just thinking if we could combine the two, you know, it would be a win-win situation.
Yeah, I'm just afraid our facility isn't big enough,
Yeah, from what I read,
because they need 2 hangars completely.
well, they want to park 500 airplanes,
Exactly.
and I don't see 500 airplanes parked at our airport. So, well, sticking with the air show.
Yeah.
I
Well-
didn't see where we would make money on that deal. It sounded like we have to set up everything for the AOPA.
Quiet, we're not to that yet.
Okay, that's
We're
good.
not on that topic.
Can I turn off the air conditioner so I
Sure.
can hear?
Well, we're not quite done with this one. So, if everybody's done commenting, I'd like to know what, we have these 3 possibilities. One is no air show. The second was what, severe, what,
Alternating years?
oh, alternating years, okay, alternating years. And you think the third, there were just 3? There's a third one is to do it, but get a handle on the budget.
Those were the 3 I presented to council.
Okay. So, well, the third one, yeah, but
You're not
still
too
have it,
wrong.
but try to reduce the budget and have a slightly smaller air show. So, I don't know if you want to take a vote or something, or do you want just show of hands? Does anybody in favor of just giving it up?
No, I don't
What?
believe so.
I would like to make a motion that we continue the air show with the outlined reduction as Mike Chandler had outlined.
Okay, well, we can do it that way, too.
I would second that motion.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to support Mike on his third proposal, which is to have it, but with a smaller budget. Yeah, go ahead.
And sponsorship?
Yeah, well, with city sponsorship, I was going to get to that with some discussion. So it was moved and seconded. Certainly I'd like to speak for myself here. I'm not happy with these losses, and Mike knows I'm not happy with the losses because, you know, you just can't keep losing money forever. But his argument about saying, well, maybe $15,000 represents 2% of the budget, personally, I'd rather see it more like $5,000, but, you know, maybe 15's all right. But I'd like to feel that what I'd like is to have the city have some skin in the game, let's put it that way. Which I think is what Mike's proposing, and says that the city will actually, instead of just saying, yes, you folks can go ahead and spend your enterprise funds on this, we'd like the city to say, take it out of their general fund and say, we're going to support it or sponsor this air show to some amount of money. And I guess we're proposing that we would somehow make this.
We're not going to identify the fund for them.
Well, no, but what I mean, but I don't want them to just like take it out of the airport funds and say, here, go ahead and spend your money. I'd like it to come from somewhere in the city, so the city says, yeah, we think it's a good idea to the extent that we'll sponsor it. So I think that needs to be an important part of if they say, yeah, do it again. I wouldn't want to do it again if the city won't get behind it. So I feel very strongly about that the city has to put up some money too, not just the people out there at the airport putting up money. Because really, it doesn't benefit me as a tenant out there. But, I mean, I enjoy it, but it doesn't benefit me, but I guess it's a kind of a benefit to the city, to have an event. And I'd like them to participate, put their money where their mouth is, so to speak. That's my opinion. Any other discussion on the motion that's on it? Or if anybody disagrees with me, I'd like to hear that too.
Well, I think their show is, a good idea. One, we want the public's opinion of the airport as favorable as possible. Most airports out there, the general public doesn't care whether we're there or whether we're not. Actually, most of them prefer we're not there. So, if we can show the airport in a favorable environment with doing an air show, get the public out there, to where they're going to enjoy our place that we enjoy, I think it's worth, some money to do that.
Well, I think we have a motion on the floor that says.
Well, yeah, we do, but
Yeah.
I think that's part of the discussion. I think that's what you're trying to do is
Yeah,
support
I mean,
Okay.
the motion, so to speak.
I would agree with the motion, that we should continue. I agree that, the 25,000 loss is quite a bit, but it's also the first year that we just moved it. There again, people have plans that have made plans a year in advance. Let's give it another shot and see if, the people that came last year have already made plans to come back this next year.
Okay.
Any other discussion?
All I'd like to say is that I think we discuss and recognize some of the problems. So now you have to find a solution to those problems, and we should be hopefully back in the black or close to it. So I support the motion.
Okay. Well, okay. Any other comments? Okay, all in favor of the motion? Aye. Opposed? Good, motion carried. See, that wasn't so bad.
I survived. That was the dry run.
Yeah.
You say that it's going before council on Tuesday,
Tuesday night.
next Tuesday,
Yes.
not Monday?
No, Monday's a holiday.
Monday's
that's
Labor
right.
Day.
Oh,
Okay.
wait, I'm sorry.
What?
It's going before council on the 8th. They canceled that meeting because of the League of Cities. So actually, they've moved that meeting to a special meeting on September 8th,
September 8th.
and that is when it's going. I apologize for that.
Okay, we'll go before the city council on September 8th. Okay, under old business, 8C is Building 20 update.
Building 20 is the building to the east of our new office. Original plans were to put a fire station in there. The county has now decided that they wish to purchase the Cal Star trailer. They're going to remove it from the airport and reinstall it over at the county jail. And they will be operating their fire station from that area. So as a result, Building 20 no longer is spoken for. Currently, it does have some of the airport equipment in it because we're still finishing getting situated after moving in. So our intention is to begin renovations on that probably by the end of the year so that we can get that building back into play. As a reminder, we had a tenant in there several years ago that made a lot of modifications to the electrical system as a result of what they were doing. And those alterations were done without the benefits of permits and are not to code. As a result, I've actually killed the electricity to that building, so the building doesn't burn down. It's gonna be a total gut and remodel in there, and we will go from there.
Isn't that sort of what you did to where you are now?
That's correct.
Where's the new location for the fire department?
It's gonna be over by the juvenile hall on Flynn and Aerostar. Their original desire was to put the trailer at our front gate where Building 25 was, and I didn't think that was the best idea. We're trying to improve the airport, not, yeah. So the city manager agreed with me, and so they're gonna go ahead and put it on county property.
Is that where they're gonna build the fire station?
They're not gonna build a fire station.
Oh, okay.
So they'll be parking their truck outside.
I believe they're gonna put up a barn structure for the truck to be in.
Oh, okay.
Similar to what they did on Fifth Street when they were remodeling our fire station.
Okay. Okay, anything else on Building 20? No?
I'm not even looking at this point because we gotta get it fixed. I can't put anybody in there. And I just went through a hurry up for a tenant, and I don't wanna do that again either.
Getting it fixed to a point where a tenant could move into it versus getting it fixed and the tenant saying, nah, that's not what I want.
Yeah, our intention would be to strip it, put some basics in there. We wouldn't build any offices or anything until we actually had a use in mind.
Okay, next item is budget review.
This is the adopted budget for 2014, 2015. I can go through the whole thing, or you could ask questions, your call.
Okay. Who here has reviewed this budget? Fred has. Anybody down at the left end here?
I have.
Well,
Reviewed it.
we know that you reviewed it, because you put it together. Anybody got a preference? Want Mike to walk you through it, or just see what questions Fred has?
I'd like a highlight. I don't want to go from
Okay.
line item by line item.
Okay, I'll give it a highlight. So, your first page is your, and Fred, when you have a question, just shout it out. I'm just gonna do a highlight thing. So,
Turn on
our
your
first
mic.
page is Fund 212, which is our federal grant fund. As you know, we have a separate fund set up for our federal grant money to go into, so that money never mixes with our Airport Enterprise Fund money. Each year, we actually transfer money from the Airport Enterprise Fund into the 212 fund to make our matching of the grant amount. So that's what you see in the first two lines. We're showing a grant of 44.8, and we're showing our matching fund at 10%. Our grant, since, keep in mind, all this was done in February, the FAA has since reduced that grant to 3.2, right? To 3.2 million. So our matching funds will be 320. Quay.
First page. Top, first two lines. Up, there.
Okay?
What, excuse me, why did they reduce the grant? They gave us a grant, and then they said, we're only gonna give you 3/4 of it?
Because they have the money, and they make the rules.
When their rules say,
San Francisco or Oakland probably need a little more, or I don't know.
okay, all
Don't
right,
get me started on that one.
all right.
So, and then we show the expenditure and that will modify also down to about 3.5 in professional services for the runway project. So that's page 1. Page 2 is primarily the air show. Shows revenues of 60,000 and expenditures of 60,000. Because once again, this is set up in February, long before we have the air show and know what's going on. So what I will do is submit well, depending on which way the council goes, the next meeting, I will submit a reappropriation lowering this budget down to the 50K cap that we discussed. Any questions on that one? Okay. So then, starting at the bottom of the 3rd page is our Airport Enterprise Fund. And the bottom of the 3rd page and the top of the 4th page are our revenues, projected revenues. Any questions on any of the revenues?
The 2013-14, those numbers, they're still not, we're not through 2014 yet, right? So, it's
This
fiscal year.
part we are, yeah. This is July of 2014.
July, so we're in 2014.
So we're in 14-15
Oh, we
now.
are. That's right, we are, okay. I'm a day late and a dollar short here.
Yes. And the last column actually shows the current activity. The 91,240.
Yeah, the air show losses on this page show a total of 40,898 from 2012.
Yeah, they just now are
Yeah.
processing, seeing the EAA check, and they're going to go back and fix
Yeah, I
all
know
that.
some of the donations weren't listed yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're pretty light in the first quarter or the first couple of months, actually.
Yeah, that's kind of,
July and August?
yeah.
So it's going to increase somewhere down the line? Or it's anticipated, or that's just
Well, our anticipated revenues are 709,000, and we're already at 100,000 in August, I think. Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Where that is the spray field stuff. That all happens at the end of the year, the transfer of the money for the spray field and stuff like that. So we always run a little bit lower. Okay, and then we're in the expenditures for the next 3 pages.
I have a question on page 4.
Okay.
Turn your mic on.
Yeah, page 4. This is going back 2012, 2013, just a question. It says capital contributions, $2,275,000, blah, blah, blah. Is that FAA money?
Yes, it would be.
Yeah, okay. Okay. That was, yeah, 2012, 13.
Yes, back in 2012 and 2013, they mixed the FAA money in Fund 601.
Ah,
And that's when I set up. No. So,
okay. I see
that's
Gatsby still
actually in
there, too.
in the revenues.
Okay.
So, well, since we're asking, so 13 and 14, there seemed to be $1.5 million in revenues, which is roughly $600,000 or $700,000 more than we really get. Where is that from?
Transfers in.
Yeah, for what?
Building 25 was one of them, and I can't remember what the other one was.
Because I don't see anything leap out at me. Okay. Marvelous government accounting system.
I didn't invent it.
I know. Okay.
So if there's no questions about the expenditures, then we're done.
608. Grants,
Last
air show,
page.
enterprise funds.
Yeah,
Our workers' comp is being adjusted, by the
big,
way.
yeah, that's a big number.
It's going down significantly.
Could you explain the transfer out?
The transfer out is our FAA matching funds.
Right.
We're moving it from this fund into 212.
I see the jump for 497,000 from the previous activity of 0.
That is correct. It's because we were supposed to get a $4.9 million grant. So it's really going to be 320,000.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to follow.
If Caltrans would, if the state would pay back the aviation fund, the money they borrowed from it a few years ago, and Caltrans would start making matching grants again, then that number would be cut in half.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
We're talking about all these special programs with all this money they have, but no one's mentioned paying that money back yet.
It's not the only agency they haven't done it to.
Yeah, I know.
Any more questions about the budget?
So for those pilots at home, I suggest you contact your congressman, their legislature up there in California, and tell them to do that.
Well, I guess we're keeping up with matching funds anyway to date with our revenue.
Yes.
Just about,
So
but
does the state owe us matching funds and
No.
just won't pay them, or they just simply discontinued the
They
program?
discontinued the program. We can wait for them.
No, that's why I was asking, you
Yeah, no.
know, ever any hope of getting reimbursed?
Effectively, they rated the aviation fund to the point where they have enough money to operate their offices
To keep their
each year.
offices open,
That's correct.
keep those employees, state employees employed.
All 6 of them.
Is that all they got?
That's all they got.
okay.
One of them wrote your letter, inspected your airport. Okay. Okay, any more questions? We move
The
on?
Caltrans airport.
I can't hear you.
Well, take it up with Governor Brown. I'm sure you'll get a real long ways with that.
Hey,
Okay, let's move on to, let's see, we did the
Cal
budget
Fire.
review.
Cal.
Now it says CAL FIRE.
Okay, I finally got some news on CAL FIRE. So, I met with CAL FIRE 2 weeks ago, asked them where they were at. The plans are up in Sacramento. They got stopped by somebody who thought they were through the fence, saying he knew better, the FAA doesn't do through the fence, blah, 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 blah. And our chief actually had to drive from here to Sacramento, go in his office, take it and say, this is on the airport, sign it. Get his signature and move it to the next office, and then drive all the way back to Hollister. So they're predicting about 2 years to get through the offices in Sacramento. They jumped in line, they are now the next project. So as soon as the bureaucracy grinds them out, our budget situation seems to be miraculously fixed. Maybe they'll use that money they're not repaying our aviation fund to build that base. But they're saying 4 to 5 years out.
So it's more like 6 to 7 then.
Or 6 to 7. Or 60 to 70.
Well, okay. Sounds like we shouldn't be asking you this every month. Okay. Item 8F is AIP number 16, bid results.
So that AIP 16 is our runway reconstruction. This is from taxiway Delta north, where the cracks are the worst. The way it was structured, the first 1,500, well, the last 1,500 feet of runway was the base bid. And then the next chunk up to Delta was at alternate one, then Delta, Echo, Foxtrot, et cetera. We based the award on the base bid, and Don Chapin was the lowest bidder with a bid of $1.9 million for that 1,500 square feet of runway. As a result of the FAA decreasing our grant, we've asked them for more money and they've said no. We are currently figuring out how we're gonna get as much done with the remaining money as we can. Ultimately, the majority of that section of runway should be done this grant cycle. We are in the process of strategizing for the next budget cycle, and we believe that it may be the wisest decision to involve our elected officials at the Washington level and actually just go for a home run and get the money to do all the runway, the CAL FIRE taxiway, and the run-up areas, and just be done. Because it looks like San Francisco is going back to their old ways of dangling a carrot and then pulling it back. Truth is, well, I'm going to stop. I didn't sleep last night, so I'm tired, so I don't want to say that.
So do we have the 2 million?
I'm sorry?
Do we have that 19?
Yes.
And a little more?
And what,
Around 3 million?
2 million more. The ad alternate was 1.5 million. So it may wind up we give the FAA that $1.2 million back. We're trying very hard not to. We'll know shortly. Hopefully by tomorrow. Our stuff is all done. We're waiting for them to get their stuff done.
Any other questions on this topic?
Just so everybody understands, CAL FIRE needs a minimum of 4,000 feet of runway to operate. That's why we're starting all the way at the other end, so that they can actually operate on the runway while we're tearing up the runway. There will be several full closures of the airport. They will occur at night, so they don't affect CAL FIRE operations. The first closure's the biggest one, where we actually have to remove all the paint on the runway and restripe the runway at 4,000 feet overnight.
Oh, all right, you're going to move the threshold back to the beginning of the
Yes, the
pavement.
threshold is moving back to the edge of pavement in front of CAL FIRE. We have to move the fence of the dog park outside the runway protection zone. We're going to have to take down 2 of the shade structures at the dog park and put them back when we're done. We're looking at starting mid-October, and it's a 45 or 60-day contract, so we should be finishing up just in time for Santa Claus.
It used to be our rainy season, too.
Yeah. Truth is, this is my ace in the hole. I'm going to solve your drought problem.
Right.
As soon as I go tear that asphalt up, it's going to rain for 40 days and 40 nights. And we're not going to have a runway for a year. It's the way it operates.
So part of that moving the threshold, then you're going to basically, what, just shut down the Pappy? Or
Yes.
you're not going to move it or
No, they'll be-
provide any other
No, it'll be shut down.
what, vertical guidance or whatever? Okay,
Oh, that reminds me, we're going to have to move the lights, too.
yeah, you mean the blue lights have to become white lights?
Red and white.
Or whatever color runway edge lights?
Yeah.
That's going to be interesting.
It's fun.
Oh, okay.
The new runway, it's going to be built to the proper standards. We're actually excavating down 6 feet to get rid of the muck. And then we're lime treating 4 feet of soil to dry it up. And then they're going to put base rock underneath the asphalt. What an idea. So we should not have this problem again. And just so everybody understands, we're not lengthening the runway, we're not moving the runway, we're not making it any heavier duty. It's the same exact runway. The only thing we're getting rid of are the cracks that are that wide. And going to prevent it from happening again.
Too bad I normally will never see it.
You're going to start right at taxiway Delta and go
No, we're going to start at the end and work towards CAL FIRE.
towards it? Not towards 64?
We're starting at 13 and working our way towards 3-1.
So
And this
is there 4,000 feet from the south end of the pavement to Delta?
There's about 3,000,
To
I
Delta?
think, yeah.
So if you ever get to Alt 1 or whatever,
There will be parts that have to be done at night during closures, once we get near the RPZ of the 4,000-foot runway.
I'm just thinking of CAL FIRE, they.
Well, CAL FIRE won't be
they
flying
that- They
when
won't be
it's raining.
flying.
They don't fly at night.
Well, I know, but I mean, but you're going to have less than 4,000 feet of pavement, right?
No.
No?
We'll always have 4,000 feet of pavement. There's 7,500 feet of pavement out there, from end to end.
Okay, all right.
So all this is to the benefit of CAL FIRE, huh? All this
Well-
Mickey mousing around?
Well, what? Oh, no,
Yeah. but doing
Well,
the
we have a
runway
contract with
half
CAL
and
FIRE
half.
to provide them with the airport, so we can't exactly close it. And in light of the drought, it's kind of important to have those guys.
yeah. Okay, anybody else? Okay, we have an item, next item, 8G is Fire Station 3.
I already told you about
We
that.
talked about that, yeah,
Yeah.
okay. So the next is new business. The question of how is the CPI obtained for rent increases?
So that question was asked, so included in your packet is a staff report dated July 5th of 2002 by Lawrence Jackson, and that's the one that specifies the U.S. Department of Labor Bureau of Labor Statistics for all urban consumers in the San Francisco, Oakland, San Jose statistical area. So that's where it
Yeah.
came from.
Yeah, I'm the one that asked the question. The only question I had was where they get the actual number, because they have the option of picking different areas, I believe.
Oh,
See, like,
spelled right
For
here.
this Bureau of Labor, for all urban consumers in San Francisco, Oakland, San
And
Jose.
that gives you a set of numbers. It has different dates. And I think we always use April. Because they take that survey
Yeah,
3 or 4 times a year.
Oh, I think they take a monthly. They got monthly dates.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
they always pick the highest one.
But I do.
That was my
And if it's not good enough, I add 100 to it.
That's all I have a question on. If anybody else has any questions, I know all about this stuff.
I do believe we use the April numbers.
Okay.
What was it, 2.9 this year?
I don't remember.
Or 1.9?
2.7?
Okay. Are we done with that topic then?
Yeah.
Okay. New business, item B, AOPA request for airport proposals.
Yeah, this is like,
So, this came across my email, and I was looking at it, and I think it's a good way to advertise our facility. We'll have a brand-new runway then, or at least the end of it'll be brand new. I didn't see it as more, too much more intensive than setting up for the air show. So I was thinking if we did it, we'd do it around September, August, around in there, away from the air show so that we didn't have any issue. Although the argument could be made, it might be better to do it back-to-back weekends with the air show because everything's already set up. I'm just throwing it out there if you folks think it's worth actually trying to pursue this. Or should we just keep it in the radar screen and go another year once all our runway's done and we have a whole brand-new runway?
I didn't understand the funding. Was the AOPA going to have, set it all up and we just provide these big hangars and stuff, or?
I believe it's all on us.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Well,
I think they bring their exhibits and stuff, but I think we're responsible for the sound system, the fences, the porta potties, et cetera.
well, I do see two or three things here. One is they want capacity on airport for no less than 500 light general aviation aircraft to park on a combination of paved surfaces such as ramps, taxiways, and runways, infrastructure. And I just can't see getting 500 airplanes on, well, I guess we could put them on grass, but I don't.
What do you think, Larry? Can we do it?
500 airplanes out there?
I know Salinas has our informing committee and fill out the application. I think there's a radius for those things, isn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be hard to compete with Salinas. They do have a lot of ramp,
Okay, Hunt.
but.
Back burner.
Well, plus, and then there was the other thing, vehicle parking for no less than 900 automobiles
You can get 900 cars in there.
outside the, did you get 900 in there? Huh, okay.
We do 6 or 7.
And then, in addition to all these 500 aircraft, we want adequate ramp space for static display aircraft, which I presume are separate, and they want at least 90,000 square feet for that, which is a 900 by 100 strip, which is, I just don't see it,
They've done these in the past, haven't they?
not here.
No, but I mean in the past. Yeah, they have
Yeah.
these regional, they're a
Yeah.
big deal.
Yeah, I know, but,
Okay.
yeah, it's cute, but I can't see us bothering to put the energy into putting in an application, 'cause
Sounds good to me.
Where was the last one?
I think they did one in Texas and,
Everything I read here is at no cost to AOPA.
yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
That's
well,
crazy.
that too, yeah. No, they've had them, I think, well, I don't know if they're, is this regional, or is this just their AOPA?
It's regional. They do one in each region each
Yeah.
summer. This
Well,
is
they got one in
Super Bowl
Long Beach
airplane
or
events,
something?
though.
I mean, they're usually at a fairly large airport, so,
I have one in San Jose, I went to.
yeah. And but that's with San Jose, not at Reed Hillview. It was, yeah.
Even San Jose Airport's not.
And I don't,
San Jose International?
yeah.
I didn't think they had that additional space or uninterrupted.
Well, it can't be at a carrier-operated airport anyway. Cannot be, so.
So that must, must have been their national
Think so.
get-together at San Jose. Yeah, and I think they included Reed Hillview in the airplane parking. Yeah, several years ago, I remember that. Okay, well, yeah, unless somebody feels differently, I don't think the staff should spend any more time on this. Okay. Let's see. Oh, 9C, new business is Z Aero, new tenants.
So Zierro has taken possession of our old building there, building 19? Sorry. And they're busy bringing it up to ADA. There were a few doorways that were too small. The bathroom needed work. They're doing that. They sheet rocked the shop area, so that's all done. So I would expect to see them on site in the next few weeks.
So they've already started putting their money into the thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay, good.
What's the length of the lease?
5 years, I think.
5 years?
I would expect to see them within 2 or 3 weeks.
Well, I hope to bring more people.
Jobs.
Friends? Actually, I think they are hiring. You
Yeah.
retired airplane folk,
Go to their
go to their
website.
website.
Yeah.
It seems like an early on project, and I'm hoping that they expand onto something that's major, you know, and still utilize our airport.
Kind of like a startup, sort. Are they tied into the CPI?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, any other comments on ZRO? Questions? Okay. 9D is airport signs, airport entrance.
So, as you're aware, the city council dedicated the park over by CAL FIRE as Jerry Cave Memorial Park. So I've ordered signs in addition to that one for the park. I also ordered a new monument sign to go at the entrance of the airport. We're gonna rip out all that juniper there in the driveway. We're gonna put in the sign, we're gonna put in some of those big rocks we got stashed behind our building, and we're also gonna put in a little bit of landscaping, like butterfly bush, something not too offensive. And we'll probably use the rubber ground mulch to go around all that. And those signs are ordered, and they're, I think the lead time was 6 weeks, so we'll probably be seeing them around Christmas time. In addition to that, I ordered the Hollister Municipal Airport sign with the airplane. That's gonna go up on the wall above our door, so people actually know where we are. So.
What are they made of?
These are all made out of recycled milk cartons mixed with sawdust. The color goes all the way through them. We used to use these in the parks exclusively, and they work great as long as no one builds a fire underneath it. That had happened. But they're relatively inexpensive when it comes to these type of signs, and they last forever. And they stand up to vandals pretty well.
Signs for the airport, which one are you using?
That one.
No, I mean,
Yeah, that was an early thing.
Well, I didn't quite understand what you're saying here.
I didn't either.
This sheet was an early bid.
Oh,
I ordered off of the three sign sheet. So those are the signs we're getting,
These three?
those three.
This is over your office.
One of
That
them.
one's over my office, yes.
Okay. Jerry Gay Memorial Park.
And the sign that's down there now that says Hollister Municipal Dog Park, that's coming down?
Will be relocated to the fencing for the dog park.
So the one that says Jerry Gabe will be right.
December, when I get the signs. I know, we're gonna have to do that in the spring. I'm sorry.
So the one that says, the Jerry Gabe sign, it will face
It will face town.
town?
The driveway.
It'll face, where you're coming from town, you see
Yeah.
that sign.
That's better than having it face San Felipe?
Oh, it'll be at a 45-degree angle. I mean, we're not gonna put it,
Okay, well, I'm just,
As you drive in.
since it's a, divided highway, you don't see it necessarily heading north, but
you will not see it headed south. You will see it headed north.
so you'll have to see it at farther distance, so.
And same
people
with the
would-
airport sign. Original plan was to put 2 in. I don't want to spend that much money right now. Towards the end of the budget, if we have the remaining funds, I will order 2 more and have one facing each direction. But for now, I'm concerned about people from town finding things, so that's the direction we're gonna sign for.
Got you- what color are we talking?
I think it was brown with yellow letters for the park signs, and the other sign, yeah, there you go. It's kind of brown with beige letters, and then the other one's blue and white.
Are the letters raised?
Indented. They're routed out.
Oh, reversed, huh?
And the way this material's made, you know, they put an inch of the first color, and then they put in 2 inches of the other, and they make a sandwich.
I've seen those, yeah.
And so you're carving through into that other color.
Oh,
Never splits, never rots, never needs painting.
good, okay. Good.
Okay, we all done with the signs? All right, that's all we have on the agenda, other than next, item 10 is items for next agenda. And do we have any, any comments about that?
Air show?
Okay.
Any more movement on the runway
Yeah,
rebuild?
Yeah, AIP 16.
AAP 16,
Yeah, we'll have that.
CIP 16,
Looks like the fire station's gone.
Gone?
You mentioned they're taking the CalStar building. Is CalStar still paying for the dirt?
They'll be buying us out of their lease.
Oh, okay.
There is a buyout clause.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe you could update us on that or something when it happens.
Yeah.
When it happens, yeah, okay.
Any updates on Zero?
Uh,
No?
Well, oh, okay.
The vehicle gate down?
Well, I hope to
Well-
have it repaired by then, but we'll put the vehicle gate down.
Well, yeah, I mean, put it down there so we can hear that, everything's wonderful.
What it costs?
And I guess the seat openings probably ought to be there until we make sure we've got applicants.
Okay, yeah.
That's about it.
Caltrans inspection, status of the fixes? No, we don't get to hear that?
One of them's already fixed,
Which one?
the one that I have control of,
The dirt?
the dirt.
Oh. Well, I guess if, Mike Corbin just goes ahead and cuts down his tree, I guess we'll be fine, but,
Yeah.
all right.
Oh, I have a question, being that they're not gonna build a fire station here. They were gonna do the pavement for Zero, so we have to do that now?
Yeah, we're gonna wind up needing to do that. I'm gonna try to work it in as a change order when Chapin's out there paving, so it doesn't cost us as much.
I just happened to think of that.
Do we get to hear anything about that, or
Later.
later? Okay.
Right now, I'm trying to figure out if I can do it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess the issue is, it's got to get done, right?
Well,
Isn't that part of the
it's gonna bust our
ZRO's?
budget. No, it's not part of their lease.
Oh, I mean, they'll live with the
And
gravel
if
if
it's
they
gonna
have
bust
to.
our budget, I'm not gonna recommend it.
Okay, no, well, I thought it was part of their
No.
lease. Oh, okay.
It's just, it's very dusty.
Oh, yeah, it's a mess, but,
It's a mess, and
Yeah.
when it gets wet, it's a swamp. And
yeah,
we're driving further into that dirt now, before we went about 10 feet and parked. And now we're driving down to the next building, and it's creating a large amount of dust, and
yeah.
it's not good for airplanes, it's not good for airports, so it needs to be taken care of.
Okay, anybody else got anything? Next month? Nope. Says our next regular meeting date will be September 24th. Does that still hold true?
It does?
Looks good. Why is that? Looks like a holiday.
Rosh Hashanah.
Oh, okay.
I won't be here.
Yeah, maybe some Jewish people here, but anyway, okay. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Gordon. And we're done.